Hello. Aloha. Hello. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Who's starting to join? It's lovely to have your company. So we will wait here and wait for people to join our lovely live tonight. Okay, so as per usual, I'm going to try and get my comments up on my iPad at the same time. Hello, Kim. Hello, Kim. How are you? I hope you're well. Lovely to see you. Lovely to see you. Hopefully I'll come up live on my iPad in a moment. Who else watching? Melanie, hello. You had a nice day. I hope you have. Oh, who's that message from? Okay, yeah, don't need to see that. Hello, Susan. Nice to see you. I hope you're well. I hope everyone's had a nice day today. The sun was shining and it was absolutely lovely. I am here. Okay. Sorry, I was just messaging John because I was a couple of minutes late, as I always am, which is terrible, really, isn't it? But we're getting more and more of you joining now, which is lovely. And I can see John is waiting in the wings, so we'll bring him on in a moment's time. So what have I been doing today? Well, I got up. I went for a walk with Millie, so I took Millie for a walk, which was really nice, and then I did a little bit of crafting, did a little bit of stamping and some samples that I'll show you later, and then we went for a walk in Bradgate Park, which was absolutely amazing today. And the stags, oh my days, we got there just at the right time as they were all just coming down from the wooded area, crossing over the path. There must have been about 20 of them. It was amazing. And they're all so silent. You'd think they'd be making lots of noise, but they're so silent. But I put that video on Facebook so you can see that, and I've put some photographs on there as well. Anyway, hello Pamela, nice to see you. Lovely to see you here this evening. So we have the lovely John Scott joining us tonight, and I can't wait because there is so much to talk about. There really is. So without further ado, should we get him on? So Scott, let's see if I can bring you on. I do believe I can add you and send an invitation from there. So work beautifully. And I think you'll see that our lovely John is now being added to the screen and he'll pop up there. A little bit like University Challenge, isn't it? And there he is. Hello, John.
That was quick, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. How are you?
To rearrange my lighting though, like you see.
It's very good. You take your time. You get comfortable. How are you today?
I'm all right, thank you. A bit tired because obviously I was at work today, but so it's like +4 start when I'm working. But it's
is that what time you have to get up, or what time you have to get there?
No, get up, alarm clock.
Oh my days! Yes, I am familiar with those 4 a.m. starts, and they're not the best, are they, John?
Not in the winter when it's dark like this. It's fine in the summer. It's beautiful driving to work in the summer.
Yes.
But winter like this when it's just dark and cold and wet.
Yeah. Is it a long journey into work, John?
No. I live just outside Stratford, and the studios are in Redditch, so it takes half an hour.
Oh, well, that's okay. Oh, what a lovely part of the world to live in, Stratford. I went to
a little farming village outside Stratford.
Lovely. I went to an overnight ghost hunt there at is it the Falstaff? I never know how to pronounce it. It's either the Flagstaff or the Falstaff.
Falstaff.
Yeah.
Is it the Falstaff? Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, went to an overnight ghost hunt there, which was interesting.
Yeah,
it was very scary. Very scary, but it was good.
Well, apparently, just the village just next to me that way is famous for the witches, the neon witches. So
really?
I haven't come across them yet, but it's very, very famous. There's been
I'm writing that down.
Murders and things like that there.
Really, it is amazing. That kind of part of the world is full of like interesting little villages that when you start to look into them, there's lots of history and lots of past, isn't there? Mm-hmm. Talking about history and past, my days, 35 years experience in the industry, John.
And the rest, I think.
No. Over 30.
More than that now. It must be more than that. Hang on. So I got my very first job after leaving, because I went to 2 colleges. I trained to be a teacher, first of all, then I went to Wimbledon. I left Wimbledon in 83. So whatever, I've worked solidly since 1983. So how many years that is? 93, 100.
A long time. But a good time as well, because your career has been so varied, hasn't it? I mean, we're talking about theatre, TV, and film, but all to do, of course, with design and costumes. Very interesting. How did you get into that, John? If you were planning to be a teacher, how did that move over?
Well, what happened was, is I went when I went to school in Chester, and back in those days, Cheshire County Council used to run a drama course in the summer holidays.
Yeah,
Go away for 2 weeks, and you'd learn all about, acting, singing, makeup, costume, fencing, improvisation. You learn everything over the summer, and then at the end of it, you do a play either at Chester Gateway or the Crewe Lyceum Theatre. And I met a lady called Anne who was making the costumes when I was there, and got on with her and everything. And she had gone to Wimbledon School of Art and said, oh, it's the best place to go. And at the time, she was working on The Little World of Don Camillo for the BBC. And
yeah.
she said, oh, I've just come back from Italy, and we had all this, we partied and we drank and we did this and we did that. And I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. Anyway, I went off to train to be a teacher. Realized in my final teaching practice that even though I loved being in the classroom with the kids, I hated the staff room, I hated all the politics.
Yeah.
And I just thought, I can't do with 45 years, because that was the start of my career, 45 years of sitting.
Wow.
And I suddenly thought of Anne saying how brilliant Wimbledon School of Art was. So I applied to go on the costume interpretation course on Wimbledon School of Art, having never really sewn a costume, never stitched, thinking, oh, well, I'll never get on, I'll never get in, but I might as well give it a go, because it was the day out in London and everything. So I went for my interview. I had no portfolio. All the other people there all had portfolios and things like that. And unbelievably, I got on. But the reason is Wimbledon School of Art in those days was a private college. You had to pay to go there.
Yeah.
And what they used to do was take too many people on, and then at the end, and we'd all pay our fees, and then at the end of the first term, they get rid of half the people who weren't very good.
Sounds like
so. I think,
traitors.
yeah, exactly. They've taken me on and gone, oh, gone by Christmas, it'll be fine. So I didn't, and I stayed, and I loved it. It was really, really, really hard work, but I absolutely did.
What an amazing story, and how your life could have just changed another way. But you made that decision after meeting that lady who said, what a fantastic life. That's amazing that you didn't have any experience at sewing, but you went for it.
Which meant I really had to work extra hard when I first started, because the course at Wimbledon was like a postgraduate course. So everyone else on the course had either got a degree in fashion, needlework, dressmaking, all sorts of things like that. So I was way behind everybody else. But no, it was a sharp learning curve, but it was good. I really, really enjoyed it. And I love a challenge. But I also, like you say, it's funny how my life could have been different. I do believe, you'll see this as my career goes on, that opportunities are dropped in our lap. It's us, whether we take those opportunities and go, or whether we go, oh, no, that's not for me. And I know, I also know, because I know you had a horrible time with what's happened to Create and Craft and everything like that.
Yeah.
But when things happen like that, they do happen for a reason, because you would never have done this had you
right.
on Create and Craft. And then sewing, kind of sewing quarter shut down unexpectedly, sort of thing. And you kind of go, oh, this is dreadful. But it then opens up, kind of avenues for other things, really.
Yeah, it certainly does. Talking about avenues for you as well. So you went to college, but then you took that skill set and went into TV with costume, not just TV. You went into theatre, film, and Hollywood as well.
Yeah. So what happens is when you finish Wimbledon School of Art, everybody, because you don't get a qualification, all it is they say, you had to go to an interview and you go, oh, I went to Wimbledon School of Art, and that was kind of it, you get in, sort of thing. But because there was no degree or anything like that at the end of it, they said to all of us, if you get offered a job, go and do it straight away. So in that final term, like my best friend Dulcie, she went off and she got a job at Stoke Theatre, so she left early. And then Linda got a job making costumes for Diana Belling, so she went off. And so in that last term, and I was like, I've paid for this, I'm not going anywhere. So it's kind of, and then when we left, in those days, we used to have the Stage newspaper, and every Thursday, you go to the newspaper, you have your cup of tea, you get your fag out, I don't smoke, and literally go to the back pages, and it was either be a Miss Bluebell dancer or be a carpenter in this theatre. And in those days, every theatre had a costume department, so there were always costume jobs coming up. So a job came up at Theatre Clwyd, which was very near to where my parents lived. And I thought, if I go for that job, I can move all my stuff from Wimbledon, because that's where I was still living, to my parents' house and work from there, sort of thing. So it was like method in my madness. So I went to my interview and I got the job at Theatre Clwyd, and kind of stayed there for a year. But kind of like, so you just start off as a pattern cutter and working your way through, and that's what I trained to do on the course at Wimbledon. And then you just went from theatre to theatre to theatre. So it's kind of like you got to bigger and better theatres, and got bigger and better shows, really.
That's amazing. I'm really interested in your Hollywood background.
Oh, well, okay. So then what happened was I was working at 20th, was working in theatre, and we go to a costume hire company. There were 3 costume hire companies in those days: 20th Century Costumes, Angels, and Berman's. And they were the 3 people who had the whole. And I went to work at 20th Century Costumes. So I started, my first job was I wasn't on set, but I facilitated the costumes for Poirot, so for ITV. So the designers would come into us, and we'd either have costumes made for David Suchet and all the people, or they'd rent costumes. Like for Miss Lemon, all of her costumes were original 1930s clothes that we altered to fit her and everything. So I was working there, and then I'd been there for 2 years. Before I'd been working there, I then got sent to New York to open their New York branch, which I absolutely loved. And I lived in New York. And then I came back and I realized that I wasn't very happy working there after being in New York. So Linda Mattock, who was the costume designer on Poirot, had said to me right at the beginning, one day you're going to come and be in my team. Anyway, her costume supervisor left, and she came in one day, and because we were just about to start the next series of Poirot, and she said, I want you to come and be my costume supervisor, but I won't poach you. You have to leave this job, and I will then offer you a job to come and be a costume supervisor. And I had a full-time job and a pension and everything at 20th Century Costumes, and the job doing Poirot, excuse me, was just a freelance job. Anyway, I decided it's an opportunity, I've got to do it. So I went there and thinking, oh, well, you know, even if I never work again, at least I've had the experience. And then luckily I just went from job to job to job to job. And then I was on a show in Ethiopia called Big Battalion.
Frozen just a moment, John, I think. Oh, you're back?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you're back. Sorry, you froze just a moment.
Okay. So I was on a job in Ethiopia with Brian Cox and Jane Lapater. And it was a gruesome job. It was brilliant, brilliant fun and everything, but it was hard work. And the production manager from that happened to be at a dinner party with a producer called Mary Richards. And she said, oh, I can't find a costume. And in those days, you didn't cross the barriers. You were either in adverts, you were in film, you were in telly. And she said, oh, I'm doing this film and I need a costume supervisor. And he said, oh, you need to meet John Scott. And she was like, oh, he's telly though. He does telly. And he said, no, meet John Scott. So anyway, I went to meet her, and she was doing Being Human, which was a Robin Williams film.
Yes.
And I had my interview with her, and she was literally, yep, you're on board, sort of thing. So I then jumped from TV to film, sort of thing. So then started doing, so I did that film with Robin Williams. And then I just kind of seemed to go from film to film. Did 4 Weddings, and I did the James Bond films and things like that. So it just the film just got bigger and bigger. So it was kind of like, there I was. We weren't based in Hollywood because Hollywood films aren't made in Hollywood, you know, but you could be in Thailand for 9 months, or you could be in Africa. I did The Ghost in the Darkness with Michael Douglas and Val Kilmer, and we lived on a game reserve in South Africa for 7 months.
Wow, that's amazing. Is there a difference between, is there a big void and difference between TV and film? No. Like the lady said, you know, oh, he's in TV, you know, this is film. Is there a big difference, John?
Not anymore, not anymore. Everyone works in everything now. And it's because it was a hierarchy of the film people got paid a lot more than the TV people, and they didn't want the TV people encroaching into their. There's no different at all. Well, I say most people watch telly on I don't know what a big telly is. If you think of, like, if I show you my cuff there on the television, it's that big. On a cinema screen, it can be that big. Do you know what I mean? So your attention to detail has to be higher. But I always worked with the ethos that everything has to be top quality, no matter what, if you're telly or films or thing. So no, I mean, films are a lot slower to make. You can do a whole day's filming, and the camera cannot turn. You know, you can rehearse it, you can change that, change this, change that, do a stunt, do this, and then at the end of the day, they've got no footage at all. Whereas on telly, Poirot, you every 2 weeks you've done another episode.
Yeah. It is amazing. Now, on my screen at the moment, you have Frozen, but I'm hoping you're still very, very animated on everyone else's Facebook. So let me know. It's probably just my internet, that's all. But if everyone else can see you.
See on mine, so I'm moving on mine. So
that's good then. That's good then. What's interesting as well, I applied to be an extra in The Duchess, and they filmed that at Chatsworth Hall. And that was really, really interesting because there were two castings. There were the paupers, the poor people, and then there were the aristocrats. And behind the scene, all the costumes, it was so interesting, the level of detail that they went to. Even for the poor people, the mud underneath the fingernails, everything had to be spot on. And I was lucky enough to be an aristocrat. Well, I say lucky enough, but the costume detail was incredible. It really was. And it was such an experience to watch that being filmed, to watch the makeup and the costume people come in and alter and change and make sure all the continuity was working right. It was absolutely fascinating.
I'd never come across continuity before, because in theatre, excuse me, you make all the costumes for first night and then that's it. They just run through the show and that's it. Whereas on a film and to some extent a TV series, you don't film anything chronologically. So you could be doing the final scene of the film on the first day, and then the next day be doing something. I pity, not pity, but the actors, you know what I mean? You can do filming in this room and then go through that door, but then not film the other side of the door for another 3 months or something.
It's funny, isn't it?
And that's where your costume continuity Bible comes in, because you have, in those days we did Polaroid, but you had to take pictures of every actor at every moment in the scene, because if they go to the door with a hat on, in fact, this is really weird. I watched Notting Hill the other day. I did Notting Hill, and everyone raved about how brilliant he was and everything. And then I watched it the other day, and there's a scene where he knocks the orange juice. They're outside the cafe and he knocks his cup of orange juice.
Yeah.
Julia Roberts gets the cup of orange juice all over her. And basically we filmed the scene going into the house before we filmed the scene with the orange juice going all over her. So on the day when we filmed it, we had to decide how much orange juice actually went on her, sort of thing. So we all big discussion. We were right, let's just throw a cup on her and that'll be the thing. Then, so we filmed the whole of the sequence inside the house with her getting checked like that. Then about 2 weeks later, we were outside in Notting Hill doing all the location, and then every shot we did, only a tiny bit of orange juice goes on her t-shirt. So if you look at it, he only spills this much orange juice on her, and then she walks into the house and she's covered. And
I love things like that.
I know, but it's not very good. I mean, I'm surprised nobody pointed that out. None of my costume friends pointed that out to me. Went at the time.
I think things like that are good though, because any film buffs out there, there must be Facebook sites dedicated to this about continuity. I remember watching EastEnders once, and Mo's dad, I think little Mo got married, or Kat got married, something happened, and he was giving a speech at the wedding. So he's like, "Oh, Kat, you know, I love you," and the camera cut to Kat, and she's like, "Oh, Dad, I love you too." And when it cut back to him, he had his hair cut.
Oh no.
Absolutely. And I tried to find it on the internet, because I just remember when it happened. We didn't have like a phone then at the time, but oh my God, it's hilarious. And I think sometimes things like that, they make you sit up. And I often look for things like that, you know, things in the background that might have changed, or costumes that look different. So Notting Hill you've worked on. And
sometimes it's not the costume department's fault.
No.
Sometimes when they put a film together, sometimes it comes out at like 4.5 hours and they have to go, oh, we need to cut this scene, we need to cut this scene. So when I did a TV series called The Life and Times of Henry Pratt, there was a scene where the lady went into the hospital to see her husband on day one in the story, and she was wearing a blue dress. And then the next day you see her going into the hospital wearing a red dress. They decided to cut the scenes into one. So she walks in wearing a red dress and she walks out wearing a blue dress. And that wasn't our fault. We didn't make that.
Of course not. Of course not. One thing though you worked on that I'd like to know more about, because it's one of my favourite films, is Tomb Raider. Oh, yeah.
That was my last film. I didn't know at the time, but that was my last film.
Was it? What was that like to work on? And did you meet You met Angelina Jolie, yeah?
What people say, oh, do you meet them? You spend the whole time with them, because obviously you're in all the original costume fittings. So when they first arrive, you're one of the first people they meet, and they come in and they've already had their discussion with the costume designer. And costume supervisor, the costume designer would choose what they wear, and then as a costume supervisor, I would facilitate all the costumes to be there and made or bought or anything like that. So I met her from day one. I met her, sort of thing. So yes, but it was very strange because it was when just I don't know how to say this. It was when she was just becoming well known, and she'd been through a lot of trauma and abuse and things like that.
Yeah.
So she was fragile. She was fragile at the start
Yeah.
of it, but she was determined to do it, sort of thing. So she had minders, she had chefs, she had people looking after the whole time and everything.
Gosh.
But yeah. So, but it's because of Angelina that I almost got fired from a great big film, because while just before I did Tomb Raider, I was on a Bond film, and the clothes show had come to the set to film the costumes and everything, so they interviewed me and everything like that. And then after that, the people from Richard and Judy had seen me, and they'd asked me to go on to Richard and Judy. So in those days, I'd just do a couple of days a week. I'd do a Monday and a Thursday whilst I was still on Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
And every Monday and Thursday at 11 o'clock, Angelina would say, "Oh, we have to stop filming now. We have to stop filming now. I need to go to my trailer." And after a few weeks, the producer said to her, "Why every Monday and Thursday do you go to your trailer?" She went, "I go to watch John."
Oh.
You go to watch John. She said, "Well, John's on the telly."
And they didn't know.
They didn't know. No. Oh God, no. So as a supervisor, you can leave the set at any time because you're not actually physically looking after an actor or an actress. You're just in charge of the whole umbrella. So I could say, we were based at Pinewood Studios. I could say, "Oh, I've just got to go to London and get some tights for Angelina," or "I've just got to go and collect this costume," or something. So nobody knew. Nobody knew at all. So she then said to the producer, "I see John every Monday or Thursday," and they were like, "John who?" And then, "Oh, John from costumes or things." So I got dragged in front of the. It was very strange because I was booked to do the next Bond film, the Ice one with Pierce Brosnan, and actually after Tomb Raider. So I then this morning asked me to go full time. So I said, right, I'm going to take a year out. I won't do the next Bond film, but I'll come back to do Love Actually. So so I did the whole of Tomb Raider, got into trouble for doing This Morning, then left the film industry supposedly for a year, but never ever went back.
That's such an interesting story. That really got because Angelina Jolie dropped you in it. That's hilarious. But yeah, working in the film industry, you must have. When you meet the stars, I don't want you to give away any of the secrets or anything like that. But can you? Do you become their confidant? Do they tell you things? And is it hard then not to go and tell someone else?
Well, it's not hard because you know the boundaries of the thing. So basically, when you work in theatre, the costume department is known as like the heart of the theatre, and the supervisor, they're normally women, they're not normally men, but they're known as mother in the industry. It's like, "Oh, hello, mother." So it's kind of the place where actors come when they need solace and they can have a cup of tea. Also, you've got to remember, we've seen all these people with no clothes on as well. So there's an instant kind of like, I've seen you naked. But then what happens is because you work so closely with them. So like on 4 Weddings, Andy McDowell was going through a bit of a tough time. So she'd come to the wardrobe truck and we'd do her lines and everything like that. But just sit, and it was beautiful when we were on vacations. It was always just sunny every day. We'd sit outside the wardrobe truck drinking tea and doing her lines. And then when we were on Notting Hill, and I can't remember the actress's name now, she's the girl that's in Vicar of Dibley, and she played Hugh Grant's sister. She'll come to red-haired girl, the one I mean. Anyway, she, in the mornings, she had massive anxiety because she knew that she was too old for the part and she didn't think she was good enough for it. So she would come into wardrobe and we would just sit, and they kind of, when they do the call times in the morning, the only people that are there when the actors and actresses arrive are costume and hair and makeup. So it's kind of a little gang anyway. We have breakfast. They used to have breakfast together and things like that. So she would always come in and say, "Oh, should we have our little chat?" And we would just sit on the steps of the wardrobe bus and have a chat. And also on 4 Weddings, the girl that plays Charlotte, I think she was called, had a nose ring. And our little routine was she would arrive and I'd put her nose ring in for her, just as a little kind of start of the day. And it's because you're there with them all the time, sort of thing. So you become but no, it's all part of your being a costume person and hair and makeup. yes, it's about the costume and being able to know what to do, but you're also there to put the actor or actress at ease, because the last thing they want, the directors want, is an actor arriving on set in a bad mood, because or not coming to set at all. We've had some actors who just refuse to go to set, they're in a bad mood. And back then, when I was on films, it was like something like £100,000 a minute or something to be there. So if an actor holds you up for an hour, that all that money, thousands and thousands. So as a costume person and hair and makeup person, part of your job is to get the actor ready to go on to set.
That's amazing.
Not look they looked, but mentally as well.
Andy Love was in Notting Hill. I'm sure it was Notting Hill. Was that the one that Ronan Keating sang the song for? Yeah. Andy Love was on the bench in the music video.
But was it in the film as well, or just the music video?
It might have just been in the music video.
Only because if he was, I would have dressed it.
Isn't that funny? You see, there's all these little things that start to connect people together. When you can always find a connection somehow to bring it all together. But that
Friday, I'll see him at the desk. I'll ask him.
Yeah, I think it might have been the video, but at least there's a connection there. Which perhaps you didn't know.
We might have filmed the video at the same time as we filmed the actual scene. It's the scene where they're lying on a park bench.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Isn't that interesting? That's funny. Are you friends with any of the, Hollywood elite or stars still?
Well, I wouldn't say, because I worked as a very professional.
Yeah.
I was known as being very friendly, obviously, and everything, but I was also very professional. And it's really weird because I also think, so when we finished 4 Weddings, Kristen Scott Thomas said to me, she lived in Paris, right? And she said, when in Paris, you have to come and visit, you have to come and stay and everything like that. And of course you don't. You don't ring up and go, oh, hi, I'm coming to Paris. It's John to go, thinking they're not even remember who I am by then. Anyway, I bumped into her at a premiere a bit later on. And she just came up to me and she said, you said you were coming to Paris and you've not been to stay or anything like that. So I think that's partly I'm not worthy to go to these Hollywood. I mean, I have to say, my friend Marge, who used to be the financial director for Warner Brothers, when I was in LA once, she went, oh, come on, let's go and see Pierce. So we rang him up and he was in his Malibu home and we just drove to Malibu and knocked on his door and said, we're here.
Great memories to have.
I've got fantastic memories like that, but I wouldn't say that I'm more friends with TV people, because I was young. When I think back to it now, I was very young with all that responsibility. And now as I got older, it's like you don't care so much, do you? And you kind of so Bonnie Langford, I can turn up at Bonnie Langford's house any day, or Sam Bonds and people like that, and that's different now. But Hollywood stars, you kind of, I tell you who is a good friend, Michelle Yeoh, who was in Tomorrow Never Dies. She played Madame Horrible in Wicked, and she won the Oscar for whatever it was last year. She stays in touch. She's lovely.
Fabulous. So then working in TV, of course, on This Morning, did you say with Richard and Judy?
Yeah. So I started with Richard and Judy, just doing the odd show. And then they asked me to go full time. And it was really weird. I was on holiday at the time, and it shows how long ago it was. They faxed me my contract. Wow. Now I knew that I already had the next Bond film lined up if I wanted it. So they sent me the contract, and I went, oh no, I'm not doing that. Oh no, I want a car every day. And I did 12 things on this contract saying I'm not doing it. Anyway, they fax back 5 minutes later, and they agreed to all of them but one. So I kind of thought, well, this is a sign that I'm meant to do this. So I told the film industry I was leaving. Got ready to start that, and then Richard and Judy handed in their notice and left. So I'd been doing the odd show with Richard and Judy, but then when I started as a full-time job, it was Twiggy and Colleen doing the presenting.
Right, my goodness. And how long were you in the TV
for? I was on This Morning for 12 years. I went in to do one show. So basically, what happened was they called me in for a screen test. I drove, this was when I was on, I can't even remember which film I was on. I went to do my screen test, and they said, we'll be in touch in about 3 weeks' time, whatever. I never heard a thing. They didn't even say, thank you for coming, or you were rubbish, or anything. And I just thought, oh, I must have been really, really bad. And 9 months later, I was in Angels, the costumiers, and my phone rang, and it was this girl called Katie saying, oh, hello, I'm a researcher on This Morning. Could you come in tomorrow and do catalogue fashion? And I was like, I haven't heard from you for 9 months. And she said, it's just one show. It's just one show because Brenda Imanis is poorly and we just need somebody to fill in. So I went in to do one show and I stayed for 12 years.
Gosh, that's amazing, is it? Again, you know, everything that you're telling me, all the different stories about, you have a chat with somebody, they put the idea in your head about going to do costume, you do your costumes, and you have a discussion with someone else, and then you end up
Yeah.
on TV. Then it's those moments, and like you say, it's those golden opportunities, isn't it? It really is. And shopping TV, well, that's a different kettle of fish
It's the
altogether.
hardest job I've ever done.
Yeah.
It's people go, oh, shopping. You know, that some people are a bit snooty, aren't they? Well, I
Yep.
can tell. Some people are a bit snooty about shopping telly. It's hard, isn't it?
It is.
I love it. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love it because I love the community. But blimey, you've got to entertain, sell, listen to a producer, listen to a director, have a guest who might not be a bit nervous. I mean, it's a handful, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it certainly is. And you work for Rox and Co,
Yeah.
did you?
So what
Yeah.
happened was I was on this morning, and Rox and Co on a Sunday night, they'd literally just opened. They weren't even a falling auction
Yes.
channel then. They'd literally just done a couple of weeks, and they wanted it to be like QVC. Oh, like you were on QVC at the time, weren't you?
Ideal World. I was with Ideal World
Were
because
you
I
not
went.
before that? Were you not an expert at, like, was that Ideal World
Ideal
where you were
World,
the expert?
yeah, the tech guest.
Right.
Because I went for an interview when they had the wine channel.
Right.
Vin
Yeah.
Vinapre?
Yeah.
Was it Vinapre? Yeah. So I went to see Steve at the Dunlop building, and I went there, and he said, you know, oh yeah, you'd be good for this. And I said, well, I do work at Ideal World as well, and I didn't want to give that up, but I couldn't do both, so I had to make that decision. And I'm glad I made the decision to stay at Ideal World, but I really, really wanted to do that particular channel because I saw all the presenters shooting off around
Yeah.
the world and going to different vineyards. But I think it was after that that Rox and Co
Yeah.
started. Is that right? From his house.
London. It was when the people who used to have gems. So it was Steve, Debbie, and another person.
Yeah.
They all went their separate ways. So Steve,
Yes.
Gems TV. We did Rox and Co. And then I don't know what the other person did. But basically, I wasn't going to go on and be a presenter. I literally went on a Sunday night. They used to have 2 hours where they'd either invite a celebrity or somebody from style, you know, to go on. And I went on, not knowing anything about gemstones or anything, but just talk about color and style and what you'd wear it with and everything. And in the 2 hours I was on, they got really excited because they sold more than they'd ever sold before. So they then said, would you come and be a presenter? And I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know at this time that I was going to be leaving this morning. But anyway, so I went on, and it was easy. I could do it really easy to start with because it was literally just like, there was no falling auction. There was an Ellen, you know, with all the graphics on, but you just talked about the thing. And then they decided that that's not what they wanted. They wanted to do a falling auction. So we shut, and we all had training for 2 weeks to do falling auction. And,
Yes.
and I could not, all that call to action, heartbeat,
It's hard, isn't it?
romancing the stone, calling them all in, right, kill now. This is like, my God, it's a piece of jewelry. And at the same time, we also had to do our GIA training because I didn't know about gemstones. So
yeah.
I've got qualifications for the GIA, Gemological Institute of America, diamonds, colored gemstones, and something else. So we had to take all those exams as well at the beginning of that.
Gosh,
so, yeah.
That's dedication.
It was a job.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Should we talk cruising?
Oh, if you like.
Ship ahoy and all of that. You are hosting a cruise, am I right?
Yeah.
But it's all sold out. Is that correct?
Well, no, the deadline for buying your tickets are sold out.
Okay.
So basically, the way it works is I've got a subscription channel called John Scott Threads of Life.
Yes.
And I film that in a studio in Warrington, which is owned by my friend Daniel, who's been in shopping telly for donkey's years.
I know Daniel.
Oh, okay. So I'm filming in his lovely studios, and he also runs the cruise channel with Derek with the Upside Down, and who you'll know as well. I mean,
I do know Derek very well, but I've never known him to have the Upside Down in.
Yeah, you look next time. It is Upside Down. Anyway, they do the cruise channel, and Derek has every year. Derek hosts a cruise, and Daniel said to me, well, do you want to host a cruise? And I was like, oh, nobody will come on it. Nobody will come on a cruise with me. So we said, well, we'll just do a little one next May to Scandinavia. And of course, it sold hugely. They're already discussing next year's. So it's it's fantastic. So yes, so I'm hosting. Nobody can buy it now because the deadline to buy it was the 31st of January. So I'm hosting a Scandinavian cruise in May. And no sewing. It's not a sewing cruise. It's just a cruise, and I'm just going to be there with the people.
How amazing! Whereabouts? Do you know whereabouts you're going?
Yeah.
Are you going
You're going to say this.
to Stockholm?
We're going to Skagen, Oslo,
Yeah.
Sand, somewhere there, and then back down again.
I was going to say, if you go to Stockholm,
We're going to Copenhagen.
oh, that'd be nice. Copenhagen's nice.
Yeah.
You could have gone to the ABBA Museum if you stopped off in Stockholm.
Well, I went to see ABBA Voyage for my brother's birthday in January.
Did you like it?
No.
Oh no, I've been 4 times.
Everybody was, I mean, I went on a Saturday afternoon and it was absolutely packed and everyone was going wild about it. I got excited about it, and the bit where they come up at the beginning like that, you're like, oh my god, it's really
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
But then when they start doing those close-ups
on the screens, yeah,
they look like Shrek. And then, you know, Vix, I don't know if you'll know Vix. Vix is a presenter who used to be on Rocks and Co, and she's on Gems. She's young, lovely.
Blonde hair?
Yeah, blonde hair,
yeah,
right?
no.
He's in an ABBA tribute band, a really good one that travels around the world.
Yeah.
So every time the blonde one kept coming up, I thought, and I couldn't quite get over the fact that it wasn't a real person, that it looked like
Yeah.
Vix. And then people were clapping at the end of every song. It's like, but there's nobody here. It's a cartoon, you know what I mean? It's not real. You don't clap at cartoons, do you?
Well, they've got the live band there, so
Oh
probably
yeah,
they
were brilliant. They were absolutely brilliant. But I have to say that at the beginning I got really sad because I thought that's them in 1979. You look at them now, all of us, not just them, but you know, like we were young things in 1979, and I got, oh, I was young then. But then after about 3 songs, I was like, oh, just get on with it. Just get on with it.
Oh, I loved it. I've been 4 times, and I go to the bar afterwards opposite, and we just carry on playing all the music all night. It's fantastic.
Just outside,
yeah.
like the party place where everyone goes to.
Yeah, that's. Oh, I loved it. I loved it. In fact, we're planning to go again. So there you go. You go. But yeah, you're quite right. Shopping TV really is. It's a different beast. And of course, now with you getting up at 4:30 in the morning, it's hard. So how do you keep yourself fit and well? Because it is hard work, and there's a lot of mental power going on when you do shopping television.
Yeah, I mean, I love all that going on. I can get bored very easily, but also I'm used to getting up early because back in the film industry, we were like like when we did 4 weddings and a funeral, we had to be at work most days at 3:30 in the morning because we had to iron all the shirts for everybody to wear at the wedding. Because when we did the location work, it was every day was a wedding, and you're working off the back of a truck. You're not in a studios or anything. So you're location. So I was used to getting up early. That was not a problem. And also this morning was the car used to pick me up at 6:45 every morning. So that was early mornings. I make sure that I go to bed at 8:30 every night when I'm working the next day. And people go, oh, you're mad. How can you sleep then? I was like, I know that I can't, occasionally, if I'm out, then I'll stay up later. But I need to be on and also I'm old now as well, you see. So it's kind of like, and also,
you've got a birthday soon, haven't you?
June, my birthday in June, big one. But
50.
I also think it's really important to be prepped. Yeah. I don't think there are people who come waltz it, and I'm not saying about where I work now, but I've come across people in the past where they waltz it and think, oh, I can do that. The night before, I go through my poll sheets, I make all my notes, I email Hayley, our head of sales, saying, I don't really understand this, I don't really understand that, or can you just explain why this is happening? Or if it's a new guest, can you tell me a bit about the new guest? So when I arrive in the studio, I've got it all here, it's all ready.
Yeah.
And people might think I don't know what I'm doing. My whole thing is like, what? Ooh, it's all part of the facade, you know what I mean? Yes. Or performance.
Yeah. Of course. Now I'm just interested in that picture behind you because I can see part of it, and I'm not quite sure. Is it Ninja?
It's me.
Yeah. Go on, let's have a look. Bring it over because I'm intrigued. I can see it from a distance. Yeah.
You're gonna see my dirty wall behind it now.
Steady. Yeah. Careful.
Okay. Can you see?
Is that the Maasai Warriors?
Yes. So it's me. That's me there.
Oh look at you.
The Maasai Warriors from Kenya. So that was when I did Ghost in the Darkness.
Wow.
And it was Kenya, but we couldn't film in Kenya. So we filmed in South Africa.
Yes.
And amazing. So they had to be flown in. But what was amazing was
Gosh.
in Kenya, all the mud is red.
Yes.
And they have trees that grow like that and then flat across, that only in Kenya.
Yeah.
And one day before we started filming, I was on the set. I just finished a day of fittings. And these helicopters arrived from Kenya with full-size trees hanging from them.
No way.
Them on the set, because the set was a whole town. Built a whole town. And then
That's amazing.
I know. And then trucks and trucks and trucks of the red mud from Kenya arrived in South Africa.
Wow.
In this game reserve.
Wow.
We completely ruined the what's it called, indigenous species, because we completely covered the South African soil with Kenyan soil.
That's incredible. Yeah, I'm surprised that they allowed that to happen, but I guess because it's on the same continent, yeah,
isn't it? So we lived and worked on. Well, we worked on a game reserve for that whole film. They built a whole within the game reserve. They built a whole town. It's all about two men building a railway line. So they had to build a railway line, trains and everything to come through with thousands of extras and things like that.
That is amazing.
Absolutely mad.
That is mad. The only time I could acquaint seeing anything like that was at the Monsters of Rock Festival when ZZ Top flew the Terminator into the stage. That's the only thing I've seen a helicopter bring in for a performance, but not life-size trees.
It was before the days of phones with cameras and everything. I stood there and just watched these, and it was like a row of them all bringing these trees in, and because they were full-size trees to be planted, just majestic, because it was like at sunset. And I mean, it would have made incredible pictures.
Yeah, it would have done. Have you got any other memorabilia from the film sets that you've either taken or borrowed and just not given back yet?
Right. I was given. Oh, this is outrageous, really. When we did the Bond films with Pierce, he didn't wear Rolex. He wore Omega watches. So I was given, each Bond film, I was given an Omega watch, one of the same that Bond wore. Back in the day, I used to be the same shape as Pierce Brosnan, so I had a suit, one of his suits. I kept one of his suits. I got Barbara Broccoli, the producer, and I got on really, really well. Our birthdays were very close to each other, but we got on really, really well. So she'd just go, "Oh, just take it, just take it." But then I've got presents from, like, when I worked with Robin Williams. I've got signed pictures. I've got books signed from them and things like that. Angelina bought me I don't know where it is now, like a fringed African like wrap thing, and then a little hip flask engraved for hip flask and things like that. So I've got lots of little bits and bobs like that. Yeah,
what an amazing career. What an amazing career.
I'm blessed. I know, and I get a moan all the time. And then you look back and you kind of think, actually, I've been 3 careers and I'm having the best time, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I know. I mean, it's been hard work, and I'm not saying that you don't have to sacrifice, because if you sign up for a film for a year, you're not going to be seeing friends for a year. You literally are signed up for that film for the year. So your friends are the people who are on the film with you.
Yes.
So you don't see friends and family, and you lose a lot of friends, and relationships can suffer because you're away the whole time.
Sounds like shopping telly, really.
Yes. Yeah. Except no Hollywood stars.
No. Apart from Dave Bradford, who I do know he's watching.
Is he?
He was earlier.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because he put a picture of him and James Hembro is his surname, from I don't know which card company, and I put all father and son. And James, I'm very flattered, but I don't think Dave will be very happy.
But it's good though, because we do know kind of the same people, and it is a circle, whether you're in TV, whether you're in film, whether you're in shopping telly, I guess any job really, but it is a carousel. People come, people go, and it's a very interesting, diverse area to work in. But with your website now that you've got, so what's interesting about that is that you've got, it's all about you, and you've got like a little mini show that you do on there. Is that right?
What I've got a thing called Threads of Life. It's a subscription channel. We've actually just decided to close it down, much to a lot of people's upset, because I don't think people realise how expensive it is to make shows. You know what I mean? And Daniel is like a proper. He's really, really, everything's done perfectly. You don't take shortcuts or anything like that, which is brilliant, because it means that it's finished thing. It's like, but he works you really, really hard. And we just kind of worked so hard, and then to keep the platform open, and like for me to go to Warrington the whole time and film all these things and get the guests and everything like that. It's been a brilliant experience. So that's my threads of life, which will disappear soon. I also have John Scott's Sewing World, which is my website,
Yes.
which is where you buy my book and you can buy my coffee, but and you hear about things I'm doing. But I do something not like this because I don't have guests on it, but every Sunday at 4 o'clock I do a Facebook Live.
Yes.
And it started off during COVID, and it was me showing people how to make scrubs bags and showing how to make a mask and things like that. And then it's 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And then when COVID was over, I thought, should we stop this now? And one lady said to me, but you're the only person I speak to all week. And I don't even speak to her. It's literally me just looking at the screen, reading out the messages underneath, like 20 to the dozen something. And I just thought, do you know what? I enjoy it. 1 hour on a Sunday afternoon is nothing, is it really? And if hundreds of people can enjoy it, then I'm happy to carry on doing it. You know what I mean?
Oh, that is lovely. That is fantastic. It really is. But keeping up, you know, your website and just getting new people to there, that can also take a lot of work.
Yeah,
on top of the work that you're doing.
Yes, for this. People go, oh yeah, but it takes a lot of organising.
Yeah.
I was having to get people to Warrington and then say, what projects are you doing? What tools do you need? What this do you need? And there's a lot. And it's only me and Daniel. You know what I mean? And then there was Richard on cameras, but it's literally the whole thing was just Daniel and me just doing everything.
Yeah, it can be tough. Let's go back to that coffee, because I love my coffee. So what coffee do you have? And are you a coffee connoisseur?
No, I'm not really. What it is when I worked at TJC, when Rox & Co first moved up to Leamington Spa, there's no way I was going to leave London. So I went to work at TJC, which happened to be in Twickenham, and I lived in Twickenham, so it was ideal. And there was a director on there who I've just kept in touch with. Anyway, just recently, he said to me, oh, I've set up this thing called Repodly, and we sell different branded coffees and everything like that. So they sell the same sort of coffee, but they brand it. So mine they're all named after sewing things, and there's a French roast, there's a decaffeinated, there's a dark Colombian, and something else. So people can so I have nothing to do with it. I say to people, go and buy my coffee. They go to the website, they buy it. He deals with the grinding, he deals with the packaging, he deals with post and packaging, and then he sends it out, sort of thing.
That's amazing. Do you like coffee?
I do like coffee, but I also like it with lots of sugar in, and I trying to cut down on my sugar at the moment. I'm not having coffee so that I don't have the sugar.
Did you used to have a lot of sugar on your cereals in the morning when you were a kid?
I mean, my bowl when I was little would be more sugar than cereal.
I remember having 7 teaspoons of sugar in my tea when I was younger. Crazy.
Any, but then my sweet stuck around, and I love cake. So a big steaming coffee and a cake for me is just...
It's perfect. Great way to start the day, actually.
Oh, what?
It's a great way to start the day. A coffee or a cake. I
have mine at 3 o'clock. It's my treat when I get home. So I finish. But if it's a normal day, I'm home by 3:30, and that's I stop off at Waitrose and buy the cake, and then come home. Or don't anymore. But and then come home, have my big mug of coffee and my big cake and everything.
Are you working tomorrow, John?
No,
you're not. Oh,
one day this week. I'm not working. That's what I said I could do tonight.
Yeah.
Because I'm in every single day this week apart from tomorrow.
Oh my God. Well, what are you going to do tomorrow? What's your day off consisting of?
Well, the thing is, it's chores, isn't it? You suddenly all day off, I'll do nothing. I can't lie in. I'm rubbish at lying in. And I think that's just years and years of getting up early. But it'll be like, go to the shop to get the cat food, hoover. And I've just noticed one of the cats has been sick in the garden, so I have to go and clear that up and things. Things like that. And then the day's gone because I have to be in bed. I have to eat by 5 and be in bed by 8:30 because I'm back in on the next morning.
It's mad, isn't it? It's mad. Well, tonight has been so interesting. You've got so many stories to tell. You're going to have to come back on, John.
Oh yeah, that'd be lovely.
Because I think we've only got through half of the stories. I think what we can do then is go back in and delve in a little more.
Oh yeah, because we haven't even talked about me skinny dipping with Brad Pitt, or me on set with Daniel Craig naked and things like that. You know, they're all there.
That's a great way to finish an interview, and a great way to say that you're going to come back and tell those stories. Brilliant. John, thank you so much. Where can people find you? What's your website?
My website is www. Oh my God, I don't know. John Scott Sewing World. John
There
Scott
you go.
Sewing World. 2 T's, 2 S's. John Scott Sewing World. Or find me on Facebook or Instagram.
Yeah, of course, of course. John, thank you so much for coming on tonight. I'm going to message you in the next few days because I want you to come back on because I do want to hear about that skinny dipping.
Oh yeah, in New Orleans. Wasn't anywhere. It was just New Orleans. But
I want to hear all about it. We're going to keep
look, Lucy Brennan's just messaged, just signed in. I haven't been reading any messages. Lucy Brennan is the most gorgeous woman in the world. She's absolutely fabulous. Are we able to read all the messages that came up somewhere? Will they?
Yeah, let's have a look at some of the messages. I get so engrossed with chatting and talking that sometimes the messages. So let's just go back. Let's see what we've got. Let's have a look. Oh, so look the Sunday afternoon chats with John, says Claire Payne. So she watches you a lot.
Good.
So she loves your Sunday afternoon chats, which is really nice. Just scrolling back down. Denise Jackson says she's been to Kenya.
Will this be on your Facebook page?
Yeah, we can go through the messages again and reply to people. Yeah.
Or a question or anything,
Denise Jackson said she's been to Kenya and she gave a Maasai warrior her bright pink nail varnish.
Ooh.
Very nice. I remember I was in Kenya. We went on safari and the Maasai warriors came in and they did their thing.
Yeah.
And one of them gave me a ring, said he'd married me. It was quite interesting.
Oh.
I know. So I'm actually married to one of the Maasai warriors.
Lovely.
But I've not spoken to him for 15 years. Typical, isn't it?
He's most probably moved on by now, I hate to tell you. But what's really interesting is they came over, so we had to bring them over from Kenya to South Africa. They hadn't got passports or anything like that. But also while they were there, they had to get because one of their traditions is that they bleed a cow and mix the blood with the milk and drink it. It's all to make them stronger and all those incredible traditions, which are a little bit frightening because they walk around with their spears and everything the whole time. But just it is incredible.
And they jump really high, don't they? From a standing still position, they're like pogo sticks.
They go into a trance. They sing that song and the chanting, and they get higher and higher and higher. Yeah.
It's amazing to see. It really is. I mean, I've got videos somewhere. I think I have. I've got lots of pictures, not on my phone, when it was just a regular camera. Pearl says, I hope to hear more of the stories on the cruise. I'm fascinated, John. Early morning and early bedtime, says Fran. Yeah, it can be, very much so. Lucy, she says, it really is hard, John. It's amazing. John, sorry, I'll start again. It's really hard. John is amazing at it and so dedicated. That's about all of your work and, of course, your shopping TV as well. I love Michelle.
Don't worry, we can look it up afterwards.
Yeah, we can have a look at all these and we'll go through them. This is going to be available on my Facebook, Janice Phillips Live, for 30 days. I'll then put it on YouTube as well, John. So
okay, fine, that's okay.
Tomorrow I'll put it on Janice Phillips Live on YouTube. So if anybody wants to subscribe to that, fabulous. You don't have to, but it's going to be there so you can watch this again and again and again. But yes, you've got to come back on and we shall dig deeper into some of these stories, definitely. But in the meantime, John, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
I'll see you soon. Thanks, John.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Oh, what an absolutely fantastic guest. Amazing stories. Amazing. We've got to get John back on and we've got to hear about that skinny dipping with Brad Pitt. Absolutely. And Daniel Radcliffe. I'm sure there are so many more stories that we can talk about. So we can dedicate a whole hour to that. I think that's going to be absolutely fabulous. Can I just say thank you to everyone that's watching? Yes, I know that you've been putting your comments in, but we get so engrossed in our chat and talk. But what we'll do, both John and I, we'll go back through the comments afterwards and we'll answer any of your questions. We'll reply to any of your comments as well. This is going to be available on Janice Phillips Live. I shall post it, so it's available to watch. I think it's 30 days. And it will also be on my Facebook, which is Janice Phillips Live. So if you want to subscribe to my YouTube, I'll be very, very thankful for you. You won't get bombarded with emails or anything like that. But there are clips on there. I'm putting more clips on there. And eventually we'll be going live on there as well. I just haven't done it yet. I've got so much going on at the moment. But Restream is there. It's all set up and ready to go. I've just not done it. But that's just the way it is. I like this kind of organic feel to Facebook Lives. So again, thank you very much. Next time you'll see me is Friday, not on here, over on Clarity Crafts, because we are live with Barbara Gray. Super excited about that. So I've been invited down to Clarity. We're going to be taking a look at timestamp creations, and we've got some something new launching as well. And I'm really excited about that. And I know you guys are going to love that. If you've not seen timestamp creations, go and have a look. www.timestampcreations.com. Right, that's enough from me. Blah, 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 blah. Sorry about that. But what I'll do is I will see you next week. I'm not sure when the Facebook Lives are up next week, so I was going to go away on holiday. We still might, so I've not got any arranged just yet. Might have a week off, but watch this space. I will let you know. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Have a lovely night, and I will see you very, very soon. Good night, everyone. Thank you.